We now call upon Srimati Asha Vijayaraghavan, Judicial Member ITAT Hyderabad and daughter of the late Shri K.R.Ramamani, to introduce the Chief Guest, Honorable Justice Mr. Jayasimha Babu.
I am privileged to introduce the Chief Guest of today's memorial lecture, Honorable Justice Mr. Jayasimha Babu. His Lordship enrolled as advocate in 1968 after obtaining bachelor's and master's and law degrees from the University of Mysore with distinction, and served as a pupil in the chamber of his father, T. Rangasamy Iyengar, leading civil lawyer. Within a short period of enrollment, his Lordship became legal advisor to many public and private sector industries and statutory boards. His Lordship practiced principally before the High Court of Karnataka at Bangalore in all branches of law. While at the bar, his Lordship served as the President of Karnataka State Commission of Jurists, an affiliate of ICJ. His Lordship was invited to become a permanent judge of the High Court of Karnataka in 1993 and was elevated in February 1994. In view of the prevailing policy of transfer of judges, his Lordship was transferred to Madras High Court in March 1994. As a judge of the High Court, his Lordship handled a large variety of matters with distinction and rendered numerous landmark judgments. His Lordship sat as company judge for over 5 years and served as admiralty judge and judge for arbitration matters. His Lordship was the original side judge and admissions judge for writ matters for about 2 years. After about 2 years on the bench, his Lordship became the presiding judge on division benches, dealing with all facets of civil, company, commercial and tax law, and also original side appeals and writ appeals. His Lordship dealt with tax law in a variety of capacities. As the writ administration judge, as presiding judge over the tax bench, and presiding judge on full benches dealing with tax law. The income tax reports are replete with hundreds of judgments on tax law rendered by his Lordship. His Lordship dealt with and disposed of several thousand tax matters over a period of 5 years. The last judgment rendered by his Lordship as a judge was on the constitutionality of the Companies Amendment Act, setting up the Company Law Tribunal, which was a landmark judgment asserting judicial independence and firmly resisting the bureaucratization of tribunals. After retirement in 2004, his Lordship has donned a new and successful role as domestic and international arbitrator. I request his Lordship, Honorable Justice Mr. Jayasimha Babu, to unveil the statue of late Shri K.R.Ramamani and address the gathering.
This statue is going to be placed at the RMT School, Madapakam village. We now invite the Honorable Mr. Justice Jayasimha Babu, our chief guest, to say a few words.
Mr. Justice Ranganathan and all the other distinguished persons on the dais, the very distinguished audience before me, all the friends and admirers of late Shri.K.R.Ramamani gathered here. It's been a conferment of a great honor on me to have been invited to unveil the portrait of such a great lawyer who was a living legend of taxation law in his own lifetime. Legends sometimes are created after a man leaves this world, not so in his case. He was very much recognized for his very rare qualities as a professional and as a fine human being, and it was my privilege to have witnessed it to some extent when I came on the bench to the High Court here. Of course, his reputation had preceded, and I had known about his great reputation as the greatest tax lawyer in this part of the country. But it was only after I came on the bench here that I had the privilege of hearing him as counsel, appearing before me in some company matters, and later in taxation matters. And his presence was such that even now, after so many years, I can still vividly recall his physical presence in my court. The grace and dignity which he brought to the court by his mere presence was something remarkable. And his presence and his address was such that it commanded instant attention. Attention, rapt attention, because you recognized immediately that there was wisdom that was the result of hard work, cool review, and a careful choice of words in which to present the essence of what he had already seen and what he thought ought to be communicated in order to find that which is really relevant to the case before him. His greatness as a lawyer always stood out, no matter what the nature of the case was. The individual dominated, and as counsel, he certainly made his presence very much felt. The art of persuasion is what advocacy is all about, and he excelled in it. To communicate in a manner that is pleasing, communicate in a manner that is effective, and to communicate in a manner which would answer the doubts and the questions that would arise in the course of discussing any particular given case. And all this without the least amount of drama or about raising or creating any kind of friction of any kind with the opponent or the client or the court. And these are all rare qualities which I am sure that many of the lawyers who practice in the Madras High Court imbibed from him by merely witnessing the manner in which he conducted his cases. It was for me also in education when I heard all those tributes being paid to him by people from all walks of life, a video which all of us thoroughly enjoyed seeing and coming to know more about Mr. Ramamani the man. His extraordinary contribution to rural development, a purely private initiative, wholly unaided by any tax incentive from the government, which any corporation will normally seek, is something really extraordinary. It speaks about the greatness of the man, and Mr. Balamurali Krishna's tribute to him really is something of interest to note, because I recall when I was sitting on the tax bench, one of my colleagues who sat with me said, "Brother, I find this branch of law very uninteresting. It is too dry." Hardly. This is a branch of law which excites the mind, and the intellectual discipline that it demands is something which is a great aid to any other branch of study, and it certainly requires discipline. And this can be easily combined with the finer senses which he amply displayed, to know that after a hard day's thinking and arguing on tax law, he went home to play the violin is something extraordinary. That was said of Einstein. He too was a physicist, a great one. Mr. Ramamani missed being an equally great physicist because he took to law. It's been a great privilege for me to be amongst you today, and I thank the family of Shri Ramamani, Mrs. Ramamani, Mrs. Asha, Mr. Vijayaraghavan and his son for having brought me here. Thank you very much.
We thank you, sir, for your wonderful speech.